Question number 1. What does the term cryptography mean? A. Secret coding. B. Secret writing. C. Hidden language. D. Coded communication. All of the provided options accurately capture the essence of cryptography, though each emphasizes a slightly different aspect. Here's a breakdown. A. Secret coding. This directly focuses on the process of transforming information into an unrecognizable form. B. Secret writing. This highlights the written nature of the hidden information. C. Hidden language. This emphasizes the concealed and potentially indecipherable nature of the information. D. Coded communication. This underlines the practical application of cryptography in secure communication. While each option technically works, the most concise and widely accepted definition of cryptography would be A. Secret coding. This directly points to the core function of cryptography, which is to convert information into a secret form using various mathematical algorithms and techniques. However, choosing the best answer depends on the specific context. If you need to emphasize a specific aspect, any of the options could be appropriate. For example, in a historical context, secret writing might be more fitting, while in a technical context, coded communication could be clearer. Question number 2. What is the basic component of cryptography? A. Cipher. B. Cryptogram. C. Cryptosystem. D. Encryption. While all the options are related to cryptography, the most fundamental component is C. Cryptosystem. It encompasses all the necessary components for secure communication, including the algorithm, cipher, keys, plaintext, ciphertext, and potentially other elements like authentication mechanisms. It's the overarching framework that enables encryption and decryption. Therefore, the cryptosystem is the foundation, holding all the essential pieces together for securing communication. Here's why. A. Cipher. A cipher refers to a specific algorithm or method used for encryption and decryption. It's an essential part of a cryptosystem, but it's not the whole component. B. Cryptogram. A cryptogram is the encrypted message itself, the result of applying a cipher. It's also derived from a cryptosystem, but not the basic component. D. Encryption. Encryption is the process of transforming plaintext into ciphertext using a cipher. While crucial, it's just one step within a cryptosystem. Question number 3. In cryptography, what does a substitution cipher do? A. Replaces plaintext with ciphertext. B. Mixes letters randomly. C. Adds extra characters. D. Encrypts using a fixed key. The correct answer is A. Replaces plaintext with ciphertext. Here's why the other options are incorrect. B. Mixes letters randomly. This describes a transposition cipher, which rearranges the order of letters, not a substitution cipher. C. Adds extra characters. This could be a feature of some ciphers, but it's not the core mechanism of substitution ciphers. D. Encrypts using a fixed key. While some substitution ciphers use fixed keys, like the Caesar cipher, others use more complex key systems. It's not a defining characteristic of all substitution ciphers. The essence of substitution ciphers is to replace plaintext units, letters, words, or symbols, with alternative units according to a defined rule or key. This disguises the original message, making it unreadable without the knowledge of the substitution scheme. Common examples of substitution ciphers include Caesar cipher, shifts each letter by a fixed number of positions in the alphabet. Vigenère cipher, uses a keyword to determine multiple Caesar-like shifts. Arot 13 cipher, rotates letters 13 positions down the alphabet, a simple Caesar shift. Substitution ciphers were among the earliest forms of encryption, but modern cryptography typically employs more sophisticated techniques due to their relative ease of breaking. Question number 4. What are the two categories of substitution ciphers? A. Alphabetical and numerical. B. Monoalphabetic and polyalphabetic. C. Simple and complex. D. Shift and rotate. The correct answer is B. Monoalphabetic and polyalphabetic. Substitution ciphers can be categorized into monoalphabetic and polyalphabetic types. Above the first figure, which shows Caesar ciphers, it is monoalphabetic substitution ciphers. Monoalphabetic substitution ciphers use a single substitution rule throughout the entire message. This means that each letter in the plaintext is always replaced by the same ciphertext letter, regardless of its position in the message. A common example of a monoalphabetic cipher is the Caesar cipher, which shifts each letter a fixed number of positions down the alphabet. The second figure, which shows Vigenère ciphers, it is polyalphabetic substitution ciphers. Polyalphabetic substitution ciphers, on the other hand, use multiple substitution rules throughout the message. This means that a single letter in the plaintext can be replaced by different ciphertext letters depending on its position in the message. This makes polyalphabetic ciphers more difficult to break than monoalphabetic ciphers. A common example of a polyalphabetic cipher is the Vigenère cipher, which uses a keyword to determine which substitution rule to apply to each letter in the plaintext. Question number 5. What is a monoalphabetic cipher? A. Random letter replacement. B. Fixed key substitution cipher. C. Multiple key encryption. D. Dynamic key cipher. The correct answer is B. Fixed key substitution cipher. Here's why the other options are incorrect. A. Random letter replacement. This describes a different type of cipher called a transposition cipher, which rearranges the order of letters rather than substituting them. C. Multiple key encryption. This characteristic applies to polyalphabetic ciphers, which use multiple substitution rules, not monoalphabetic ciphers. D. Dynamic key cipher. This refers to ciphers that change their keys during encryption, which is not a feature of monoalphabetic ciphers. Monoalphabetic ciphers have these key features: single substitution rule. They use one fixed rule to substitute letters throughout the entire message. Fixed key. The rule for substitution is determined by a single key, which remains constant. Example: the Caesar cipher is a classic monoalphabetic cipher that shifts each letter by a fixed number of positions, for example, 3 positions for a Caesar shift of 3. While monoalphabetic ciphers are relatively simple, they can be vulnerable to frequency analysis attacks. This is because the same letter in the plaintext is always replaced by the same letter in the ciphertext, allowing analysts to deduce the substitution rule by examining letter frequencies. Question number 6. Who is credited with the earliest known substitution cipher? A. Sherlock Holmes. B. Julius Caesar. C. Leonardo da Vinci. D. Cleopatra. While several historical figures were known to use ciphers for secret communication, the credit for the earliest known substitution cipher goes to B. Julius Caesar. Here's why the other options are incorrect. A. Sherlock Holmes. Although a fictional detective known for his keen observation and deduction skills, he wasn't credited with inventing any specific cryptographic methods. C. Leonardo da Vinci. Though a versatile genius, Da Vinci's contributions leaned more towards art, engineering, and science. While he might have used or known about existing ciphers, the invention of the substitution cipher isn't attributed to him. D. Cleopatra. Although employed for secret communication in ancient Egypt, the cipher used by Cleopatra, and possibly earlier pharaohs, was more likely a type of transposition cipher, rearranging the order of letters rather than a true substitution cipher that replaces them. Julius Caesar, the Roman emperor known for his military and political achievements, used a simple Caesar cipher for confidential messages. This involved shifting each letter of the plaintext a fixed number of positions down the alphabet. While basic and easily broken by modern standards, it marked the earliest documented use of a substitution cipher in recorded history. Remember, history of cryptography stretches back far, with evidence of early ciphers even in ancient civilizations. However, for the specific earliest known substitution cipher, Julius Caesar reigned supreme. Question number 7. Why is the Caesar cipher considered too weak for real-world applications? A. Limited key options. B. Lack of complexity. C. Vulnerability to frequency analysis. D. All of the above. The answer is D. All of the above. The Caesar cipher suffers from several weaknesses that make it unsuitable for real-world applications. Limited key options. The Caesar cipher only has 26 possible keys, 1 for each letter shift. This severely limits the security. as an attacker only needs to try a few possibilities to potentially crack the code. Lack of complexity. The cipher operates on a single substitution rule, simply shifting each letter by a fixed amount. This predictability makes it easily solvable with basic techniques like frequency analysis. Vulnerability to frequency analysis. Since the same letter in the plaintext always maps to the same letter in the ciphertext, the letter frequencies in the ciphertext closely resemble the plaintext frequencies. By analyzing these patterns, attackers can readily identify the shift used and decipher the message. These limitations combined render the Cipher cipher obsolete for real-world security purposes. Modern encryption algorithms employ far more complex key spaces, variable substitution rules, and advanced mathematical techniques to provide robust protection against various attack methods. Question number 8. How can a Cipher cipher be broken in a ciphertext-only scenario? A. Frequency analysis. B. Pattern words. C. Brute force attack. D. All of the above. The correct answer is D. All of the above. All of the listed options play a role in breaking a Cipher cipher in a ciphertext-only scenario. A. Frequency analysis. This is the most effective method. By analyzing the letter frequencies in the ciphertext, you can compare them to the expected frequencies in the language used, for example, English. Since the Cipher cipher preserves the relative order of letter frequencies, a large shift will result in a noticeable deviation from the expected pattern. Identifying the most frequent letter and assuming it corresponds to the most common letter in the language, usually E in English, can help you determine the shift amount and decrypt the message. B. Pattern words. If you suspect specific words or phrases might be present in the ciphertext, recognizing them can reveal the shift. Analyzing how much these known words have been shifted can help you determine the key used for the entire message. C. Brute force attack. With only 26 possible keys, shift amounts, trying each one on the ciphertext to see if it produces a readable message is feasible. While less efficient than frequency analysis, it's guaranteed to work eventually, especially for short messages. Therefore, it's not just one method but a combination of these approaches that can efficiently break a Cipher cipher in a ciphertext-only scenario. The most suitable method depends on the length and content of the ciphertext and the attacker's resources. Remember, the simplicity of the Cipher cipher makes it vulnerable to these techniques, highlighting the importance of using more robust encryption methods for real-world security. Question number 9. How can the Cipher cipher's security be improved? A. Use a longer key. B. Implement a polyalphabetic approach. C. Increase the number of possible shifts. D. All of the above. The correct answer is D. All of the above. All of the listed options could contribute to improving the Cipher cipher's security, but to varying degrees. A. Use a longer key. While true, simply using a longer key for the Cipher cipher wouldn't offer significant improvement. It only increases the possible shifts from 26 to the value of the longer key, which might still be manageable for attackers to try through brute force. B. Implement a polyalphabetic approach. This offers a much more substantial improvement. By using different shifts for different letters or groups of letters in the message, the predictability of the cipher is reduced. The visionary cipher, which uses a keyword to determine multiple Cipher-like shifts, is an example of this approach. However, even polyalphabetic ciphers with short keywords can be vulnerable to sophisticated attacks. C. Increase the number of possible shifts. This could provide some improvement depending on the implementation. If the shift values aren't limited to the alphabet size, 26, but encompass a larger range, brute force attacks become less feasible. However, this approach might introduce other complexities or limitations depending on the chosen method. D. All of the above. Combining all three approaches would offer the most significant improvement. Using a longer key alongside a polyalphabetic scheme and a wider range of possible shifts would significantly increase the cipher's complexity and resistance to attacks. However, it's important to remember that even with these enhancements, the Cipher cipher still remains vulnerable to advanced cryptanalysis techniques due to its inherent limitations. For secure communication in modern times, relying on well-established and rigorously evaluated cryptographic algorithms is crucial. These algorithms often combine complex mathematical operations, large key spaces, and variable substitution rules, making them significantly more resistant to attacks than any variation of the Cipher cipher. Question number 10. What is the ROT13 cipher? A. Random letter substitution. B. Shift by 13 places. C. Geometric figure encryption. D. Polyalphabetic substitution. The correct answer is B. Shift by 13 places. The ROT13 cipher, also known as Cipher cipher with a shift of 13, is a simple substitution cipher that replaces each letter of the alphabet with the letter 13 positions down the line. So A becomes N, B becomes O, and so on, wrapping around to the beginning of the alphabet if necessary. Here's why the other options are incorrect. A. Random letter substitution. This describes different types of ciphers, not specifically ROT13. C. Geometric figure encryption. This refers to encryption methods employing geometric shapes for encoding information, not letter substitution. D. Polyalphabetic substitution. While ROT13 can be seen as a specialized monoalphabetic substitution cipher, it doesn't involve changing the substitution rule throughout the message, unlike true polyalphabetic ciphers. Remember, ROT13 is a very basic cipher with limited security due to its small key space and predictable nature. It's often used for obfuscating text in online communities or puzzles rather than serious encryption. Question number 11. What does the @bash cipher do? A. Shift by 13 places. B. Replaces each letter with its opposite. C. Uses a Vigenère table. D. Multiplies plaintext by a key. While several options involve letter substitutions, the most accurate description of the @bash cipher is B. Replaces each letter with its opposite. Here's why. A. Shift by 13 places. This describes the ROT13 cipher, not the @bash cipher. C. Uses a Vigenère table. The Vigenère cipher utilizes a keyword to determine shifting positions, different from the @bash cipher's straightforward replacement. D. Multiplies plaintext by a key. This describes a mathematical operation, not the letter-based @bash cipher. The @bash cipher operates on a Hebrew alphabet, replacing each letter with its exact opposite in the alphabet's order. For example, Aleph, A, becomes Tav, Z, Bet, B, becomes Shin, Y, and so on. This simple substitution makes it a monoalphabetic cipher similar to Cipher, but with a specific mirroring approach. While historically used for Hebrew, the @bash cipher can be applied to any alphabet with a defined order. However, like the Cipher cipher, its simplicity makes it vulnerable to modern cryptanalysis techniques and unsuitable for serious encryption in today's world. Question number 12. What is a polyalphabetic cipher? A. Single substitution alphabet. B. Multiple substitution alphabets. C. Geometric substitution. D. Frequency-based encryption. The correct answer is B. Multiple substitution alphabets. Here's why the other options are incorrect. A. Single substitution alphabet. This describes a monoalphabetic cipher where the same substitution rule applies throughout the entire message. Polyalphabetic ciphers use multiple different substitution rules. C. Geometric substitution. This isn't a widely used term in cryptography and doesn't accurately describe the concept of polyalphabetic ciphers. D. Frequency-based encryption. While some ciphers may utilize letter frequencies in their design, it's not the defining characteristic of polyalphabetic ciphers. The key aspect is using multiple substitution rules. Polyalphabetic ciphers are a more complex form of substitution cipher compared to monoalphabetic ciphers like Cipher. They use multiple alphabets or substitution rules throughout the message, making them harder to break than their simpler counterparts. The Vigenère cipher, which uses a keyword to determine different Cipher-like shifts for different letters, is a common example of a polyalphabetic cipher. Here are some other key points about polyalphabetic ciphers. They offer increased security compared to monoalphabetic ciphers due to the additional complexity of the substitution rules. They are still vulnerable to attacks with advanced techniques and sufficient resources. Modern cryptography relies on even more sophisticated algorithms that go beyond simple letter substitutions to provide robust security for sensitive communication. Question number 13. Who proposed the Vigenère cipher? A. Julius Caesar. B. Charles Wheatstone. C. Blaise de Vigenère. D. Gilbert Vernon. The correct answer is C. Blaise de Vigenère. The Vigenère cipher is a method of encrypting alphabetic text by using a simple form of polyalphabetic substitution. Unlike a Caesar cipher, which shifts each letter of the plaintext by a fixed number of positions, the Vigenère cipher uses a keyword to determine the shift for each letter. This makes it more secure than simple monoalphabetic ciphers. Blaise de Vigenère, a French diplomat and cryptographer, didn't invent the cipher, but he popularized it in the 16th century. The method, however, is sometimes misattributed to him, leading to the misconception that he was the original proposer. In the Vigenère cipher, the key is repeated to match the length of the plaintext. Each letter in the key corresponds to a shift value, and the encryption is done by shifting each letter of the plaintext by the corresponding value in the key. This makes frequency analysis, a common attack on simple substitution ciphers, more difficult. While the Vigenère cipher was once considered quite secure, it can be broken with modern cryptographic techniques. Nevertheless, it played a significant role in the history of cryptography and laid the groundwork for more complex encryption methods. Question number 14. How is the Vigenère cipher related to Caesar ciphers? A. It uses the same shift value. B. It's a variation of the Caesar cipher. C. It has no connection to Caesar cipher. D. It replaces letters randomly. The correct answer is B. It's a variation of the Caesar cipher. Here's why. Both involve shifting letters in the alphabet. Both the Vigenère cipher and Caesar ciphers are substitution ciphers that operate by shifting letters in the alphabet. However, the key difference lies in how the shift amount is determined. Caesar cipher uses a fixed shift. In a Caesar cipher, a single fixed number of positions determines the shift for all letters in the message. For example, a shift of 3 would turn ABC into def. Vigenère cipher uses varying shifts. The Vigenère cipher employs a keyword to define different shift values for each letter. For instance, with the keyword cat, the first letter of the message shifts by 3, C's position in the alphabet. The second shifts by 1, A's position, and the third shifts by 20, T's position, repeating the keyword as needed. This makes it more secure than the Caesar cipher. Therefore, while both ciphers involve alphabet shifts, the Vigenère cipher builds upon the Caesar cipher by introducing dynamic shifts based on a keyword, enhancing its security. Incorrect options. A. It uses the same shift value. As explained above, the Vigenère cipher uses varying shifts, not a single fixed value like the Caesar cipher. C. It has no connection to Caesar cipher. Despite using a different shift mechanism, the Vigenère cipher draws inspiration from the basic alphabet shifting concept of the Caesar cipher. D. It replaces letters randomly. The Vigenère cipher follows a defined shifting pattern based on the keyword, not random replacements. Question number 15. How is the Playfair cipher applied? A. Encrypts single letters. B. Operates on pairs of letters. C. Uses a 5x5 matrix. D. Replaces J with I. The correct answer is B. Operates on pairs of letters. The Playfair cipher is a classical substitution cipher that operates on pairs of letters, also known as digraphs. Here's a breakdown of each option. A. Encrypts single letters. This is not accurate for the Playfair cipher. In Playfair, the encryption is done on pairs of letters, not individual ones. B. Operates on pairs of letters. Correct. The Playfair cipher encrypts the message by dividing it into pairs of letters, and then transforming each pair based on a predefined rule set by the Playfair key. C. Uses a 5x5 matrix. This is correct, but it's more of an additional characteristic rather than the primary operation. The Playfair cipher uses a 5x5 matrix, known as the key matrix, to determine the letter substitutions. D replaces J with I. While this is a common modification in the Playfair cipher, it is not the primary operation. The primary operation is the encryption of letter pairs. Question number 16. What does a transposition cipher do? A. Replaces letters. B. Rearranges characters. C. Uses a vigenere table. D. Encrypts in pairs. The correct answer is B. Rearranges characters. A transposition cipher is a type of encryption algorithm that involves rearranging the positions of the characters in the plaintext. Unlike substitution ciphers, where each character is replaced by another, transposition ciphers do not change the actual characters, but rather their positions. The process involves permuting the order of the characters based on a certain scheme or key. Option A is incorrect, because replacing letters characterizes substitution ciphers, not transposition ciphers. Transposition ciphers focus on changing the order of characters, not their identities. Option C, mentioning the vigenere table, is also incorrect. The vigenere table is associated with the vigenere cipher, which is a type of substitution cipher, not a transposition cipher. Option D, suggesting encryption in pairs, is not accurate for transposition ciphers. Transposition ciphers typically involve rearranging the characters in blocks or rows, but the concept of encrypting in pairs is more aligned with other encryption methods. In summary, a transposition cipher rearranges the characters of the plaintext without changing the characters themselves. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Question number 17. How does the rail fence cipher operate? A. Uses a 5x5 matrix. B. Encrypts in pairs. C. Rearranges characters in zigzag pattern. D. Replaces J with I. The correct answer is C. Rearranges characters in a zigzag pattern. The rail fence cipher is a transposition cipher that operates by rearranging characters in a zigzag pattern. The process involves writing the plaintext message diagonally on a set number of rails or lines, and then reading off the ciphertext in a linear fashion. The zigzag pattern is determined by the key, which represents the number of rails. For example, let's say we want to encrypt the message "hello" using a rail fence cipher with 2 rails, which shown on first table. Reading off the ciphertext in a zigzag pattern, which is shown on second table. So the encrypted message would be HLOEL. To decrypt, the process is reversed, and the characters are read off following the same zigzag pattern. Options: A. Using a 5x5 matrix, and B. Encrypting in pairs, do not accurately describe the rail fence cipher. The rail fence cipher primarily involves rearranging characters in a zigzag pattern based on the key, and it doesn't use a matrix structure or encrypt in pairs. Option D. Replacing J with I is more related to the Playfair cipher, not the rail fence cipher. The Playfair cipher involves creating a 5x5 matrix with a key, and in some cases J is replaced with I to simplify the matrix. In summary, the correct operation of the rail fence cipher involves rearranging characters in a zigzag pattern based on the chosen number of rails. Question number 18. What is a one-time pad? A. Multiple use key. B. Shift by 13 places. C. Randomly generated private key. D. Polyalphabetic substitution. The correct answer is C. Randomly generated private key. A one-time pad is an encryption technique that uses a completely random and unique key for each message. The key, also known as the pad, is as long as the message itself and is generated using a true random process. The key is then used only once and never repeated. This characteristic makes one-time pads highly secure, as long as the keys are truly random, kept secret, and used only once. One-time pads provide perfect secrecy, as the ciphertext reveals no information about the original message without knowledge of the specific key used for that encryption. The randomness of the key ensures that there are no patterns that an attacker could exploit. In contrast to other encryption methods, a one-time pad doesn't suffer from vulnerabilities such as frequency analysis, because each character of the plaintext is encrypted independently, making it resistant to cryptanalysis. Options A, B, and D do not accurately describe a one-time pad. A one-time pad is not a multiple-use key. A. Does not involve shifting by a fixed number of places. B. And is not a form of polyalphabetic substitution. D. Question number 19. How is the columnar transposition cipher key determined? A. Number of columns in the matrix. B. Length of the keyword. C. Frequency analysis. D. Geometric figures. The key for a columnar transposition cipher is determined by B. Length of the keyword. In a columnar transposition cipher, the key is derived from the length of the keyword. The encryption process involves writing the plaintext message into a matrix with a number of columns equal to the length of the keyword. The order of the columns is determined by the alphabetical order of the letters in the keyword. Each column is then read in order to create the ciphertext. For example, if the keyword is cipher, which has a length of 6, the matrix would have 6 columns. The plaintext is then written into these columns, and the ciphertext is formed by reading the columns in the order specified by the alphabetical order of the letters in the keyword, cipher in this case. Other options. A. Number of columns in the matrix. While the number of columns is essential for the encryption process, it is not directly determined by the number itself, but by the length of the keyword. C. Frequency analysis. Frequency analysis is not relevant to determining the key in a columnar transposition cipher. This method is more commonly associated with breaking substitution ciphers. D. Geometric figures. Geometric figures are not used to determine the key in a columnar transposition cipher. The key is solely based on the length of the keyword and its alphabetical order. Question number 20. How is a rail fence cipher deciphered? A. Reverse the steps of encipherment. B. Use a 5x5 matrix. C. Write in pairs of letters. D. Replace J with I. The correct answer is A. Reverse the steps of encipherment. The rail fence. Cipher is a transposition cipher that works by writing the plaintext in a zigzag pattern across a certain number of lines, rails, then reading off the ciphertext from the rows. To decipher the message, one needs to reverse the steps of encipherment. Recover the zigzag pattern. Determine the number of rails used during the encipherment process. Arrange the ciphertext in the same zigzag pattern with the correct number of rails. Fill in the ciphertext. Write the letters of the ciphertext in the zigzag pattern, filling in each row. Read off the plaintext. Read the plaintext by following the zigzag pattern. The message is revealed by reading the letters from left to right, top to bottom. So, option A, reverse the steps of encipherment, accurately describes the process of deciphering a message encrypted using the rail fence cipher. The other options, B, use a 5x5 matrix, C, write in pairs of letters, and D, replace J with I, are not relevant to the rail fence cipher decryption process. Therefore, the correct approach to deciphering a message encoded with the rail fence cipher is to reverse the steps followed during encipherment. Question number 21. What is the algorithm for a one-time pad? A. Modular arithmetic. B. Frequency analysis. C. Randomly generated key addition. D. Use of geometric figures. The algorithm for a one-time pad is C. Randomly generated key addition. Explanation. The one-time pad is a symmetric key encryption algorithm that uses a key as long as the message and only uses the key once. The key is generated randomly and is as long as the message to be encrypted. The encryption process involves adding, or XORing, each bit of the message with the corresponding bit of the key. Since the key is used only once and is truly random, it provides perfect secrecy, making the encrypted message statistically indistinguishable from random noise. Let's briefly discuss the other options. A. Modular arithmetic. While modular arithmetic is often used in various encryption algorithms, it is not the specific algorithm for a one-time pad. B. Frequency analysis. Frequency analysis is a technique used to break certain types of classical ciphers by analyzing the frequency of letters or symbols in a message. However, it is not the algorithm for a one-time pad, as the one-time pad is immune to frequency analysis due to its perfect secrecy properties. D. Use of geometric figures. Geometric figures are not typically part of the algorithm for a one-time pad. The one-time pad relies on the randomness and length of the key for its security rather than geometric patterns. In summary, the correct answer is C. Randomly generated key addition, as the one-time pad algorithm involves adding a truly random key to the plaintext for secure encryption.